Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dr. Michael Fleener, Health Officer for Jefferson County, and on behalf of our Board of Health and many community partners, many of whom are here today, let me welcome you to this special event. I'd especially like to recognize our two board members who are here present, who allow us to do the good work we do in this community. Dr. Mark Wilson and Dr. Laura Kezar. Could you raise your hand? Okay. These folks represent Jefferson County Medical Society and do an outstanding job and make us do a great job and impose on us the importance of doing a job that really does the work for this community. Please accept a hearty invitation and a welcome to the events this afternoon. We're pleased and very excited about what we believe to be the announcement of a major turning point in transforming Jefferson County into a healthier community. The Health Department and the county's orientation to improving health status in our community in the past has been focused more on access to care, largely in the form of buildings, more clinics, and hospitals than health itself. All we need to do is go down a few miles in either direction, and you can see that's the case. Our area is renowned for its world-class medical facilities. No doubt, access to health care is an important component of a comprehensive approach to health, but ironically, we have some of the worst community and individual health outcomes in the nation, some of which are comparable to health outcomes in the poorest developing countries. It is more stark when we compare ourselves even to developed countries in Northern Europe and in Asia, when we mention chronic diseases, especially related to high rates of obesity, lack of exercise, and high tobacco use. So if a world-class medical care were the most important determinant of our community's health, we would expect to be at the top of health outcomes, wouldn't we? The sad truth of the matter is that that's not the case. The only conclusion we can draw is that we have gotten the cart before the horse. In an architectural analogy, we must admit that access to medical care is more a pillar than a foundation for good community health, and we know what happens when we overbuild a superstructure that a foundation cannot support. In fact, this foundation for community health is in serious need of considerable reinforcement and repair. And for that reason, we need to refocus our attention on what constitutes this foundation, what we would call the determinants of health. And these foundational determinants are, first, socioeconomic status. And in the healthiest communities, this usually means basically that we have good jobs for all of our citizens. Two, education, measured by how well our children are, like high school graduation rates, college educations, technical school options. Three, good behavioral choices that in many instances reflect the views of our future, whether they're fatalistic or optimistic. And the environment in which all of the previous determinants reside. That environment not only includes the physical environment that is most obvious to us around today, such as the air we breathe, or the water we drink, or the food we eat, which are extremely important to be sure, but they also include less obvious social and cultural influences that subtly shape the decisions we make about our health. Like constituent ingredients of cement and steel in a solid and a firm foundation, these determinants often blend together indistinguishably and are mutually self-reinforcing. So to have a firm foundation on which community health is built, each of these ingredients must be properly mixed with the other ingredients to assure that what is built on top will stand. Dealing with one of these elements in isolation of the others will weaken the foundation in the end, and in some instances, what has been built could collapse, and what happens later could be a catastrophe. So let me demonstrate a little about what I mean by the shift that's needed in Jefferson County. You've heard some national discussions here at noon from the White House. But let me give you a concrete example of how they can be accomplished here in Jefferson County. Well, the reason we're here today is for a good reason. We're standing here at Eastern Health Center, which is a visible model of the notion of this turning point in our local approach to community health. First, this building is built to LEED specifications. That's frequently known as a green building, and it maximizes its efficiencies and lowers its impact on the environment. It is the first of its kind in the history of our health department and will serve as a model for future buildings we will construct and how we view our presence in the community from this point forward. More green buildings like this in Jefferson County will lead to less wasted electricity, which in our area is largely driven by coal-fired power plants that are the single largest contributor to air pollution in our area. But let me point out a few of these special features of our building. You'll notice that it has 2 stories as you came in today. The lower level on which we are right now, we call the community level. And just like foundations of community health that depend upon social determinants that we've already outlined, like socioeconomic status, education, good personal health choices, and the environment, this level is essentially invisible to most people's view of health, even if it's the base on which the rest of their health depends. We find these basic, often invisible components embedded in the foundation of community health through the strength of biological and extended families, families of faith, community connections as outlets for expression of hopes for their futures and those of their children. Those relationships are where dreams are expressed, are places where people convene, mix and mingle, discuss and propose solutions, and ultimately depend largely upon themselves to work towards solving their own problems. Notice that the community level of this health center has a broad glass interface behind me, which allows a clear view of its surrounding environment and looks over the Samuelson ecoscape behind you. This reminds us that we no longer should view our health from the perspective of our own individual needs or even our respective neighborhoods' points of view, but how our individual and neighborhood needs fit into a whole network of communities. And that requires a panoramic perspective, not simply looking at the things from our little knothole on the world. If you take a chance to walk on the ecoscape, and many of you have done this already, you'll notice that the shrubs, trees, and herbs in this garden are native Alabama plants that require little fertilizer and minimal watering. These plants exemplify that our success can be assured in both good times and bad if we depend upon ourselves more than on outside resources, and if we have the will and show the conviction to work and to plant seeds that can germinate and heal us if we only look to ourselves and the resources closest to us. These local resources are the most critical elements of success toward community health. And in other words, it is our conviction and will that will make it happen, 2 elements that are not dependent upon someone or something else doing it for us. These are characteristics that must be summoned inside each of us and our communities. Within the ecoscape, there's a path that serves as a visible reminder to our own health department staff and patients to get out and exercise. Now, while the path is now somewhat isolated and limited to our health center property itself, it will eventually be connected to sidewalks along West Boulevard and serve as an invitation to the community to follow a path of health awareness at another level, a level that is more than simply medical care that is provided upstairs in the clinic. It extends to an implicit invitation to take charge of our own health through exercise. And perhaps more subtly, once this pathway connects to other paths in the community, it will symbolize that our health center's roots are intimately connected with that of the surrounding community, such that the 2 are essentially indistinguishable. Now, if you look through the trees bordering the ecoscape at our currently emerging eco-farm, you'll see a 2.5-acre plot given to us for use by one of our generous community partners. And it shows the importance of combining exercise with good nutrition. You can see, if you go back there, that it's largely unformed at this point, and so exemplifies, I think, where we stand now with much of the work ahead of us today. So while we have big dreams about better community health, they will not take form until those dreams are planted like real seeds in the eco-farm. And that is accomplished by working with partners, our surrounding schools in the eastern area of Birmingham and neighboring Roebuck and East Lake communities, with partners like Jones Valley Urban Farms, Ruffner Mountain Nature Center, the YMCA, and a growing list of others throughout our community, who will put their shoulders to the plow with us and make these dreams a reality.